Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. It was the period of Hajj in the 35th year of the Hijrah. 4,000 people were disguised as if they were going to Hajj. But in reality, it was a conspiracy to end the life of the Khalifa of the Muslims, Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhu. What was this all about? Join us today from Sham, the land of jihad and ribat, till the coming of the hour to find out how this conspiracy went.
للطريق مشاعل الأنوار هم للنسيم عبيره الفوار قادة رفعوا التميز راية هم في العزيمة همة الأنصار هم للطريق مشاعل الأنوار هم للنسيم عبيره الفوار قادة رفعوا التميز راية هم في العزيمة همة الأنصار هم للطريق مشاعل الأنوار هم للنسيم عبيره الفوار قادة رفعوا التميز راية في العزيمة همة الأنصار.
Those that were conspiring got to a place known as Dil Marwa. When they got there, the Khalifa Uthman received news of their arrival. He knew what it was all about. So he sent Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu an to go and speak to them to see what they want. They had some demands. They accused Uthman of not being fair in the distribution of the wealth of the Muslims, which was very far from the truth. They said that Uthman had placed governors that were tyrannical. This is also very far from the truth, as well as a few other claims that they had. Now, none of these claims were true, but nonetheless, in good fashion, Ali ibn Abi Talib agreed with them that the situation would be improved. They agreed on a couple of points and they were on their way home. These people had come from Al-Kufa in Iraq, from Al-Basra in Iraq, and from Egypt. On their way home, they saw a man acting very suspiciously. He was riding a camel, and now he would come close to them and then he would leave, as if he was saying to them, "There's something suspicious about me, follow me." He'd done this a couple of times. Eventually they caught him and they said, "Who are you?" He said, "I am the messenger of Uthman ibn Affan to the governor of Egypt." So they arrested him and they checked him thoroughly and they found a message. They opened the message. The message read, from Uthman ibn Affan, the leader of the faithful, to Ibn Abi Sarh, the governor of Egypt. On the arrival of these people to Egypt, they should be crucified and killed. They were outraged. How could they be betrayed like this? They went back to Medina in a fit. They surrounded the house of Uthman ibn Affan and they did not allow him to leave his own house. This was the start of the siege of Uthman. But there are a few important points we have to look at here. Number one, why is it that the leaders of these particular people stayed in Medina? Why didn't they leave with their people back to Egypt, back to Basra, back to Kufa? Could they have known something? Or more likely, they definitely knew something. They had definitely planned something. It wasn't an accident. Number two, why is it that this man on the camel kept going to this convoy, going to Egypt, kept heading towards it, then leaving it, heading towards it, then leaving it, as if he's saying, "I'm behaving in a suspicious manner, please arrest me, please find out the paper that I have on me." Number three, Ibn Abi Sarh was no longer the governor of Egypt. Ibn Abi Sarh had been removed by another person, by force, from being the governor of Egypt. So why would Uthman write a message to Ibn Abi Sarh? There are many question marks around this particular incident. All these question marks lead us to believe that Uthman definitely did not write this message. Rather, this was a conspiracy by the Jew, Abdullah ibn Saba, to make fitna, to cause problems between the Muslims in that day and age, and to begin the fitna that will last until the day we are in today. They surrounded the house of Uthman. They demanded that Uthman be removed from the post of the Khilafah. Uthman said, لا أخلع سربالا سربلني إياه الله. I will not remove myself from a position that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed me in. And actually, the Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, instructed Uthman during his life that he should not leave this position, even if he is told to leave it, even if people try to force him, even if people threaten him with death, he should not leave this post. So Uthman asked for a representative from them. He asked for someone who he could speak to, someone who could articulate their concerns or their objections well, so he can understand what they want and they can discuss to find the solution. So they sent a young man known as Sa'sa'a ibn Sohan. Now this man had a history. He's a troublemaker. He's a well-known troublemaker. Actually, he was exiled from Al-Kufa to different places at different times because of all the troubles and fitan and tribulations that he would cause in the areas he was in. Anyway, so this man spoke to Uthman. He said that he used the verse from the Quran saying that they had been forced out of their homes for no sin, which they had done. So Uthman explained to him that this verse, الَّذِينَ أُخْرِجُوا مِنْ دِيَارِهِمْ بِغَيْرِ حَقٍّ إِلَّا أَن يَقُولُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ, was not revealed about him and his companions, which were troublemakers. Rather, it was revealed about Uthman himself and the people that went to Abyssinia, or the people that even migrated to Medina in fear of persecution in their religion. And this was what the verse meant. So this young man didn't have much else to say. And actually, there's a major problem here. When someone thinks that just because someone knows some Quran or can recite some ayat well, that this person is entitled to give Islamic rulings, and when actually doesn't understand much about the depths of the Islamic knowledge or the depth of even the way the world works, that this is someone who can be listened to. Another problem with Sa'sa'a ibn Sohan was that he was very young, so his understanding was very poor. And this was the man that this particular group of troublemakers sent to speak to Uthman, who was 82 years old, who was a companion of the Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, who was one of the first people that wrote the Quran. He was a man that compiled the Mus'haf, etc., etc. So their initial problem was flawed, or their initial arguments were flawed, as is very clear to anyone who has some common sense. Hajj season was now drawing to a close. Those that were in Hajj wanted to come to Medina and protect the Khalifa and ward off these aggressors. What happened next is that these people sat together and said, there is no way we can get ourselves out of this problem except by killing the Khalifa before those that are on Hajj come here and deal with us. This is what the shaitan told them to do. This is what the shaitan gave them waswas to do. This is what the shaitan whispered in their ears. Join us next time from Sham, the land of jihad, and Ribat, till the coming of the hour, to find out how these events played out and how Uthman's life came to an end.